not real. None of what we say is real. None of what you are is real.
Here's what happened. So, like, I've been going through the sequence of events and, like, trying to think about, like, what exactly has happened and why it happened and why public opinions has swayed dramatically, one way or the other. And, like, so, like, George Floyd died.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was in pandemic mode.
It's crazy.
And everybody's already freaked out. And it was, honestly, I saw the whole body cam footage. They released that, and I watched the whole thing, and it was horrifying. It was awful. They did, in the first half of the video, I will say that they didn't, I feel, treat him shittily in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was terrible ill intent just to try to fuck him up. I do think that they got tired, they got fed up with his ass.
He didn't, like, back talk him once and then go, like, all right,
yeah,
that's
no.
it.
I think they got tired, fed up of dealing with him, and then out of that, they killed him. Like, they killed him. There's no, like...
12?
Yeah.
I think a lot of these cops, and it's not like a dig on just all police officers.
Yeah.
But, like, I would imagine a lot of people, like, okay, like the, what is it, 10% of the population has an IQ of 80 or lower, right? There's probably a lot of people that would handle, like, really annoying confrontation, which is part of what being a police officer entails you to have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Really stressfully, annoying, partially almost violent, like the guy that's sitting there doing this at you over and over again and stuff. Like, you have to be able to handle that. And if that officer has this thing in him where he still handles someone being real uppity and annoying and just kind of ruining his day, and he can't handle that in that way, right? That's probably happening a lot.
Oh, definitely. Like, that needs to be fixed.
That's what I'm saying.
That needs to be looked at. There needs to be
a lot more, like, what is it, the training, like the Andrew Yang thing or something. Something's got to happen. Where
definitely.
They're all blue belts or whatever.
I mean, there definitely needs to be more training and more assistance and stuff like that. But I think in this specific case, what happened was, I mean, they opened the window for him. They tried to get him in the car because he was being arrested or whatever was happening. And he was just not... They were being so patient with him for the first little bit. And then it was like, I have no more patience for you. You're done. Like, there was like an extension of empathy for however long. And then, like, it was a pretty long time. Like, they were like being nice to him. Hey, I'll get you some water. Here, we'll roll the windows down. I know you're claustrophobic, but we got to put you in the car. Like, they were just talking to him. They weren't manhandling him at all. And then all of a sudden it flipped. And then he's on the ground, and nobody gives a damn because he's just there. Like, he died. But I think that happened. It was horrible. And so, obviously, all these protests happened. And I think at the beginning, obviously, there was some violence. There was violence. A lot of stuff happened in specific cities. But I think there was a lot of cities where there wasn't a lot of violence and there wasn't a lot of bad stuff happening. But the police still overreacted to the situation, and they started. There's a Google Doc that you can download that there's 1,500, however many videos of police violence, like just against people just standing around. I mean, they were shooting people in wheelchairs in the face with rubber bullets and like bloodying up people. So then the public sees this and goes, "Fuck the police, fuck you guys," and then they get less support. Exactly. Well,
are now fucked.
They get less support. I'm not saying it happened all over the place, but it happened a lot. Like and they thought, I'm going to go in there, we're going to roll in there and just crush these guys down. It ain't going to be no big deal. And I think they understood how outnumbered they were, and then how much public opinion does sway what happens in policy. Like, and if they act this way, then that happens. Because I feel like here recently there hasn't been too much police brutality in these protests and stuff that are happening, but also in certain cities there's been 130 days of riots and burning, and like that is the product of the police brutality that happened during these protests that shouldn't have. Like, if the
Right.
police would have went in and just handled it like a fucking pro and didn't beat the shit out of
If they would have
people.
went in thinking like, wait, this can get way worse.
Yes, exactly. If they can
That-
just go into it doing what they should have done, what police
Right.
should do, and we're just going to make sure that nobody gets hurt. We're not going to be forceful. We're going to let them protest. This is going to have
They
to
kind
happen.
of treated it like a really rambunctious Halloween party that went
Yeah.
wrong. It's like, oh, let's just go in and just
Yeah,
break the shit
we're just
up.
going to push them out of here, and we're just going to do this. Well,
Well,
people
no,
don't like
there's
being
a lot
fucked
of
with.
fucking people, and
Yeah.
a lot of them are mad.
Yeah, and now
You know?
there's thousands of videos of you guys taking your riot shields and breaking people's ankles while they're on the ground, and like terrible shit was happening. So then public opinion went down, which then gave more of a stance of this stupid fucking defund the police stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand defund the police doesn't mean defund the police, whatever. No, it does. Like,
Well, that's the whole thing is no one's treating it like a nuanced argument.
yeah,
That's the whole thing, like what you're trying to say.
yeah,
Right? Like, everyone is fucking, we need to fully, it's like, there needs to be no more cops,
Yeah.
or people are saying, like, no, we need, like, half of all of our citizens to be cops.
yeah.
And it's like this giant fucking...
And even the nuanced arguments don't make sense, and there's no real plan for it, and it's too soon. Okay, defund the police, we get it, we got your thing. We can't defund the police right now because there's no plan. You got to plan this stuff out. Like, this is a giant move if you're going to defund your police department. You can't just snatch away all the funds and say, let's figure it out.
Well, that's part of cancel culture.
Even
you
put
don't
in a
get
plan.
canceled 3 months from now.
It's now. Yeah, you're right.
You get canceled.
So stupid. Like in Minneapolis, it's terrible where they defunded their police, and I mean, I know in New York they were saying that cops weren't even arresting people, like they couldn't. They were just like, we don't have enough people.
The video where I started to kind of feel bad for cops, I was like, oh shit, like, even if, like fuck all the assholes, right? Like, this poor guy has to deal with this shit now. It's
Yeah.
like, I think it was in Portland, and they had the cameras out. I don't know if they're protesters, rioters, it doesn't matter, right? People came up to this cop, though, and recording them, had their fucking phones out, and we're immediately like, I don't think they were jumping and straight start and shit. I don't think. It's been a while since I've seen the video, so they may have, I don't know. But they were like, they leaned straight up into his car, which, when even watching the video, I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh no! Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a white person that is not really, if I'm in the presence of a cop, I'm like, okay, it's going to be all right. Like, I'm not going to get shot right now, right? But even that, I was like, I would never fucking do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think one of the more helpful things for me and cops was, like, going to the police station as a kid. Do you remember that field
Mm-hmm.
trip?
Yeah.
You get taken to the police station. It's like, this is where you get put. Like, because it was kind of like, it wasn't really a scary or straight, but it was kind of like, there was a section of that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, this is where you get, if we have to come and arrest you,
Yeah.
you get to go to the back of the car, and they showed you the back of the car, and they showed you all this equipment, and you realize, like, oh, this isn't just a guy with a blue shirt running around.
Yeah. And yeah.
Like, this is a vehicle that's really spec'd out to do, like, almost like a light military activity.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that's got all this equipment on.
It's serious,
and all this
yeah.
stuff. And even as a kid, you're like, oh, like, you know, this is, like, they're kind of decked out.
Yeah.
And they're doing a hard fucking job. Like, that needs, if you need that kind of equipment, obviously your
Well,
job
being a
is hard.
police officer is like, you have to be a crazy person. Like, why do you want that? Why do you want to deal with the worst times ever? Like, you're not around for the good times. You're around for only the bad times. And I understand it's a fucking terrible job, but it's a terrible job, and the people who do it are a special kind of person that can put up with it and not just go crazy, you know? But the thing is, I understand it's a terrible job, and I understand everything's going, you know, in a negative way towards that job right now, but you still need to be held accountable for everything that you do, because it is such a terrible job, and it is the capability for you to be terrible, or the capability for whatever. But there's not even that many, like, I understand that any unarmed death of a fucking person from a police officer is awful. Like, a cop shouldn't be shooting unarmed people. They shouldn't be shooting people unless their life is in immediate danger or threat, or they're threatening someone else's life. But
That was the whole thing with the Andrew Yang, like, jiu-jitsu thing.
yeah,
He's like, these people are scared shitless.
Yeah.
You can tell when in one of these videos where the dude gets shot, like, you've seen some videos where like, some cop interaction videos, because I know me and you probably both watched a lot,
Mhm.
where you're like, oh yeah, no, that guy got shot. Like that was just going to happen.
Yeah.
Like this dude was acting the fool. Like had a fucking machete. He was running at cops.
I mean, I get it. I get if you have a machete and they ask you to stop multiple times and you're literally running
I saw where
at a guy.
the cop was running backwards and was screaming at the
oh,
please stop.
Yeah. I
Please
saw that
stop.
one.
Please, because he did not want to fucking kill this guy.
No. Well,
he had to.
At that point, that was justified. Like,
and not only did he have to, it's not like he did it from 15 feet away.
No.
The guy eventually got up to him.
Yeah.
And there was a fucking tussle for a second. And then the guy got shot.
Man, I always put myself in the situation of it. Like, if I was DoorDashing.
Like, people that have to do that job.
Yeah. Well, think about going to DoorDash. You're going to DoorDash. You knock on the door, and some guy jumps out with a knife and is running at you and, like, fucking violent and trying to stab you. What's the first thing you're going to do? You think you're going to tell him to stop, or you're going to pull out your gun and you're going to shoot if you had one? Because I would panic so hard. I know they should be trained more, but people got mad over that situation. They're like, well, he had mental problems and it should have been dealt with differently. Yeah. And it's like, if it wasn't a cop that went there and it was a social worker, they would have got stabbed to death. Like, they would have been murdered.
Stabbed to death, or like really scared shitless because some crazy guys would walk around with a fucking machete. Could you imagine being a social worker?
He ran at him.
Right. Well, I mean, imagine being a social worker. And he's crazy, but like, okay, so like a lot of schizophrenic people, right, are actually not violent. It was really interesting. I was reading up about it. There's a very small percent that actually get violent, but they have a violent, like, behavior, meaning like they might grab a knife and stuff, but very few actually. They're basically like this really paranoid fucking person stuck in a normal person's like mindset of like, I don't want to actually hurt nobody. I don't want to. Like, so they may, like, try to over-threaten stuff because they think that you're trying to hurt them.
I got you.
So it's actually kind of sad because a lot of them don't ever actually hurt nobody. But then they're viewed as, like, this super dangerous fucking, but they could be.
Yeah.
And, like, fuck, what was the tangent I was going off of that?
Social worker.
Oh, so you're a social worker. This guy comes at you that's like that with a machete, and he never even hurt you, but he fucking grabs your throat and is like fucking doing weird shit near you, like, hey, I'll fucking kill you. You're coming near me and stuff. I've been watching you looking at me through the windows at night. I'm gonna. You're fucking sitting there like this, fucking scared shitless. You probably don't want to show up to work the next day.
And then there was an idea that like we could have more social workers and they can go with police. So like a social worker that
could be there to maybe be the calm the person down part of the
social worker. And the cops there for security, like a call that would.
Mom has to call cops when she.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, man.
If she's dealing with someone where like there is a dog on the premises and it's really super seemingly violent or something, she has to call a cop. Or if she has to go inside someone's house.
If I was her, I'd just be like, I'm calling cops.
If she has to go inside someone's house, it's immediate. It's like that's actually protocol, but she calls them a lot just to if she knows this person's a problem person because everybody's got that.
Well, everybody knows. I like the idea of a social worker on there, but I don't like that alone isn't. Okay, so you would have to fund the police officer or the police department
at the same rate at minimum.
More because they would be a part of the police.
Well, yeah.
Unless they were wanting it to be completely separate, and it's like that doesn't make sense. Like it should just be one organization. Now, I think that investigations and stuff need to go through a different channel.
I don't see why if we have canine units, why can't we have like the soft cop unit?
Yeah.
Like, how much does it cost to train a dog and all that shit, and to maintain it and stuff, right?
A lot, yeah.
Like, why don't they just have a guy that's like social worker guy, but maybe he's got some body armor on too, and
I think that's what a social
and he comes up and is like, hey, look, I'm kind of with the cops and stuff, but look, man, I'm here to help you, and blah, 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 and whatever needs to be said.
I think that's what this is. I think that was the thing behind it. Like, they are social workers. They drive around with police officers all day, and if it's a report of some sort of mental health issue or if it's a report of somebody who they know is on that, then they go with the social worker, and the cop's there too. So the cop's still doing his job. He's still making sure nobody's getting hurt. That guy's not doing anything violent. Everything's good. But the social worker's there to actually be able to talk to him, then talk to the people around him, and like make sure they have a good report on it.
It seems like a good idea.
Yeah, it makes sense, but
you have a lot more funding for that.
Also, yeah, don't take away more money because then you're going to take away the money now, and then they're somehow going to get that budget plus more back. I don't think so.
I don't see why they can't. There can't be like a government kind of thing where it's like, okay, we're going to supply all the cops with this much more money, but like y'all need to send us a report of how this money is actually being used to.
I think that is a thing.
like better whatever interactions you're having in the community.
Yeah.
And then now they've got this report they can show all the country. Like, look, this is the actual fucking number.
That's the thing.
Like,
It's online. You can look up the Bristol police or the Bristol police budget. Like, they get audited and stuff. They put up the whole thing of everything that their budget's going to be
Well, they
spent
need to
on,
like
what they need.
advertise that shit. Say like, look, this is look at the numbers, guys. Like, you think we're all fucking assholes? You think we're all killing everybody?
You can look at it. Yeah, it's online. I looked it up.
Like that should be like a fucking ad on like TV. Like, hey, do you think your cops are fucking bad? Look up their stats.
Well, not their stats of like what their records are.
I don't
I'm
mean
saying
each individual cop, but I'm saying like this is what your police station is.
yeah, they have a thing that goes out that's like
community outreach.
this is 2019. I think the 2019 was on there. It was like 2019 goals for the year. Here's what we want to do, and one of them was like we want to do this much community outreach. We want to do this much in schools. We want to reduce. We're having a problem with this crime rate right now in Bristol, and we want to bring it down 10%. Like it's usually not giant goals or anything. It's like we are going to improve the community in these ways, and here's the goals that you can hold us accountable for next year. And they put it up, like it's all up there. It's pretty straightforward.